Hi, is this thing working? Is it on? It's been a while. Welcome to episode 171 of the PassioKnit Spinner podcast. My name is Tracy and you can find me as Schnüffelt here on Ravelry and on Instagram. There's a Ravelry group for the podcast that we are not really using anymore. But I also have a Discord and I have a Patreon and it's been a while. So if you're new to me and this, about 3 months ago, I completely lost my knitting mojo and I haven't been knitting at all. And about 2 weeks ago, I started to knit again, but like barely, just a tiny bit. And I just did have nothing to show. So it's been like 6 weeks since my last podcast, or 5. And I just had nothing to show. But today I have stuff to show. So I decided to sit down, record a podcast, and finally get back to you people, because I really miss this, podcasting, recording, showing the things that I made, the interaction with you when you comment and stuff. So here I am with things to show. So the first thing is I am wearing a boxy. I knit this last year. It is made out of Schoppelwolle 10-4 sock yarn. And it is very similar to the Zauberball in a way, but it's normal sock yarn. So that's what I'm wearing. For knitting in the past, I actually have one thing, and that's the thing that took me all of 2 weeks to finish, and that is a pair of socks. I finished these on the weekend. So here they are. This is Regia sock yarn. And it is the first ever, I think, collaboration that they did with Cave Facet. And this yarn is like somewhere between 10 and 15 years old. I've had this in my stash forever. So here are my socks. I did not knit them to be the same, stripy wise, because I did not have the full skein. I used some of this yarn for something else, so I wasn't sure if I had enough to match them up. So I just didn't. And I usually don't, because I don't care. It's still very clear that these belong together, that it is a full pair. So I didn't. I knit these to be a size German 38-39. And these will go in my shop. I'm not sure yet where this shop will be and how the shop will look. But as soon as I know, I will let you know. So I'm going to open or reopen a shop where I put, all the overflow of the things that I make. So mainly there will be socks, there will be project bags every now and then, there will be woven things and handspun yarn. But I do not want to open a shop to make things for my shop. I want to open a shop to sell the things that I make and have no personal use for, because I create more things that I have use for. So that's what I want to do. So here are the socks again. I think they turned out really nice and they are finished. So the only finished thing. The other thing that I have done, and I cannot show you anymore because they are currently in a physical shop that I'm not going to talk about. But last podcast, I showed you that I was working on a sit-upon cushion thingy. And it looked like this. This is what I was working on last time. And this is crochet. And this is like I said, a sit-upon. We have been using these. So what I do with mine is, this is Tim's, by the way. What I do with mine is I roll it up like this. And I put it in my backpack for when we go for walks or, outside. And I just take it out, roll it up or unroll it and put it on the bench where I intend to sit, or the floor, or wherever. So I have a nice warm butt. And I called this thing the Cozy Tush. And I wrote a pattern for it. It is up on Ravelry and on Etsy. And it is crochet, like I said. So I made 6 more of these, but I cannot show them. So I brought a surrogate to show. And like I said, I wrote a pattern for this. It is super easy for crochet beginners. I would say you could do this. And yeah, so that is the finished things. Now on to all the things I'm working on. I'm gonna start with knitting. I have another pair of socks that I'm working on right now. It's in this bag. I bought this bag at a local fiber convention a few weeks ago. And it's another very, very old Regia sock yarn. So this is the yarn. Again, I've had this in my stash forever. And I'm knitting a pair of socks for Tim because again, this is not a full skein. And it wasn't a full skein when I started the socks. So to make sure I wouldn't run out, I decided to go for a smaller size. And Tim said that he really liked them, so he will get these socks for his birthday, which is next week. And I'm sorry for shaking camera, but my cat just keeps walking over the tripod. Hey, las das. So here we are. This is the sock. I am on the first sock right now, but I have turned the heel. I'm on the foot. I have way more than enough yarn. That's what I wanted to say. And yeah, I'm going to make them for Tim for his birthday. And there's sunshine coming in and just hitting my sock. Isn't that wonderful? It's like the angels are singing, you know, like, ah, look at it. So I'm in a weird mood. I'm sorry. I haven't done this in so long. I'm very, so these socks I am knitting in a size 35, 36 because his feet are big. I am knitting them with 56 stitches, top down, with a slip stitch, heel flap, and gusset, like I always knit my socks on US2 double pointed needles. So that's all the important information about these. And I have one more knitting work in progress, but I want to add to that because I really am in a knitting mood. So in my Yarnivore bag, and if you don't know what that is, Yarnivore was the name of Sadie's podcast. And Sadie is my wonderful internet wife, and she is a Canadian podcaster that's on hiatus right now. And I hope that she will stop being on hiatus anytime soon. So I am knitting this one here. This is Paddington Bear. It is from the current issue of Knit Now. I bought this in Scotland when we were on holiday a few weeks ago. It is issue 140, and I fell in love with a bear. And I went to a yarn shop there and I picked up this exact yarn that you need to knit the actual bear. And I decided to make it for Tim for his birthday as a surprise. So I'm only knitting on it when he's in school. And I have yesterday, I have to put it back now so I have everything where it should be. So yesterday I finished all the pieces for my bear, and I'm gonna show you, or I'm gonna try. So here it is. This is the yarn, by the way. This is King Cole Truffle, and it's a bitch to knit with because you cannot see your stitches. It's just not an easy yarn to work with. And the problem is, if I dropped a stitch in this, I would never be able to find it again. So I have 2 ears. I finished all the pieces yesterday. So these are the ears. Everything is knit flat and then seamed, and I don't mind doing that. I'm not sure why, but when it is toys and you have to do like a 5 million seams, I do not mind. Then we have the arms. They look like this. I have a head here and the body with the feet. It looks like this right now, but it has to be, you know, sewn up like that in the end. So it looks like this. Yeah, this was not easy to work with, but I mean, when you look at it, you cannot see any stitches and it is super soft and cuddly. So, I mean, I do agree it is perfect for a bear, a teddy bear. But yeah, I'm happy that I have finished all of the pieces now. Let's just say that. And I am going to make at least one more because my sister loves Paddington Bear. And when she saw that I was making it, she's like, you do know that my birthday is in September, right? I was like, yeah, I know. I'm gonna make one for you. So I have that hanging over there. And I will not do the blue coat and red head that are, you know, so specific for Paddington Bear, because Tim doesn't know Paddington Bear. And he just saw the bear, thought it was cute. And I'm just going to use whatever yarn I have, because I also do not have that blue and red yarn. I might have a red, but not the blue. So I'll just use whatever. And my aim is to finish seaming the bear today before Tim gets home from school. So, and you know, seam it, stuff it, put in the safety eyes and embroider the nose so that the basic bear is done today. And then tomorrow I am going to make the cardigan. And then, what is today? It is Tuesday today. So on Wednesday I will knit the cardigan, and Thursday I will knit the hat. And maybe I will make a second cardigan so he can interchange that. But I don't know if he even wants to do that. So I'm not sure. Doesn't matter. It's not the important part. I'm working on the bear, and the bear is cute. So let's leave it at that. So next to my knitting projects, I also have 2 crochet projects. And if you've been here for a while, now I've been podcasting for 7 years at this point, you hardly ever see me do crochet. And ever since I lost my knitting mojos 3 months ago, I've been crocheting a lot, you know, so it's okay. The first thing I want to show you is this blanket here. The pattern is in a German crochet magazine, and it is called, and it's this one here. It's a blanket special edition magazine. And I happen to have a skein of these gradient yarns, you know, and I decided to use it for that blanket. So this is the yarn that I'm using, and the crochet hook. This is my hook. It is a very pretty wooden hook. This is the yarn. This yarn is a 50 cotton, 50 polyamide blend, which is good because it's machine washable. And here is how far I've come. And this looks a bit weird because, let me show you the pattern again. There's something in here that's called Jakobsleiter, which translates to Jacob's ladder, and I have no idea if it's called that in English, but these spokes here that go into the shorter bits, they are created in the second to last round. And until you do that, your blanket will look like this, because down here I have a loop that's already been made, and I will then basically crochet this up like you would a dropped stitch on your knitting, and that will create this look. So right now it's a bit wonky, wobbly, but yeah, I'm really happy with how this looks. It's super simple to make. It's only double crochet, and that is an American term because I think it's called a treble in English. I'm not quite sure, but I think so. So that is the crochet blanket, and this I will also put in my shop whenever I finish that shop, you know, or put it in that physical shop or that brick and mortar where I have some of my things. And the other thing I'm crocheting is in this very glamorous sack. I ran out of real project bags, so it is also from a current issue of a crochet magazine, and this is Inside Crochet issue 146. I also got this while in Scotland, and it is a sweater. Where is the picture? It is this sweater here. It says book lover, and I mean, I love books, so I decided to make this for myself as a round the house sweater. And I am using completely different yarn, of course, because I use yarn that I already own. And my yarn is a lot thinner. So what I did was I made a gauge swatch. You heard that right. And I decided it wasn't off too far because my yarn is thinner, but I went up a needle size than what the pattern calls for, because I don't want I feel like crochet is very thick and heavy, and I wanted mine to be a bit more bendy. So what I did was I went up a needle size and used thinner yarn. So what I'm ultimately doing right now is I am doing this sweater in 2 sizes larger than I would actually need. I am using this hook this time. The hook for the blanket is a 4.5 mil, and so is this. So I'm working with the same needle size. It's 4.5 millimeter, and I have no idea what that is. Does this have the letter? This one says G. I'm not sure if that's correct. So here's my swatch that I made. This whole thing is made in half double crochet American or half treble British, which is the worst stitch. I don't know why, but I've always hated that stitch. And the yarn that I'm using is this one here. It's called Tramonto. I got this a million years ago, and I knit a cabled vest for my father. And I bought so much more yarn that I am now going to make this sweater for myself. And when I bought it, I also got a few skeins of a contrast color. And it is this one here, this berry color. And I'm going to use that for the writing. But I also have to check how much of this color I actually have. Because I'm not quite sure if I have enough for the sweater. But I know that I have like 4 skeins of the berry color. So my idea now is if I don't have enough of this for the whole sweater and just the writing in berry or that purple, I will do basically a purple stripe here and do the writing in the turquoise instead. So I can save a lot of this color and then do the sleeves in the purple as well. Something like that. I'm not sure. So I am this far. This is going to be oversized. You know, when I hold it to my boxy, it is almost the same size. But this is crochet, so it does not stretch as easily as knitting. And I just really wanted to have this be a super cozy round the house jumper. So I'm going to use whatever yarn I have and make it happen somehow. I'm in no hurry with this, but I also know that if I don't, you know, keep going, I will never finish this. So I hope to have a bit to show on this every time I podcast. So that is the works in progress. I'm gonna put that here again as well, because we never use this door. So it's perfect there. Okay, so that is the knitting and crochet that I am currently doing. Next up is spinning. I have one finished skein of yarn to show, and I'm quite proud of that one. So what I did a very special project for Patreon. If you want to see that project, please go follow me on Patreon. And I am going to just quickly talk about it here. I will not tell you how I did it, because that is the Patreon part, you know. But like 2 years ago, Hedgehog Fibers released their yarn Tweety, and it looks like this. I got one skein. It is a solid yarn with these tweed nep, and the tweed nep in this yarn is recycled waste yarn, threads, ends from their dyeing process, you know. And I saw this and I was like, I really like that, but it is quite expensive, so I will not get anything right now. And then last year, La Bien-Aimée came out with the exact same yarn idea. It's a bit different in what it is, you know, fiber-wise, but it is basically the same thing. It's another solid yarn with these thread ends for the tweed nep. And then I thought, hey, I'm a spinner. And the best thing about being a spinner is that you can recreate basically everything, except for, you know, those super specialty novelty yarns. But apart from that, spinners can make everything on their own. So I made a first skein of this yarn, and mine looks like that. This is my version of these yarns. So when I hold them together, I will also use these in one project, and I have a wonderful idea. I'm spinning another skein of my version, that I'm doing a bit differently, you know, to experiment with different ideas. And yeah, I have a wonderful idea on how to use all of these in one project. So here they are next to each other. The black is the hedgehog. In the middle, I have the lab enemy, and the white one is mine. So that is the first thing I have for spinning, and I'm gonna tell you what this is. So this is Corriedale fiber with waste yarn, and the waste in this is everything from cotton to polyamide or acrylic yarn to a mohair, sock yarn, handspun, everything. And I got 175 meters for 108 grams and it is a DK weight. So the weight I got is perfect to go with the others. So that's the first thing. Like I said, the whole process, how I did this, and all the experiments that I'm still working on are up on my Patreon if you're interested in that. So I'm gonna pop these back in their bag because I have one other thing to show for spinning. Okay. Now I have two other things basically. So the other thing, the first other thing is in my spindle bag that I made myself. And it is a handspun, yeah, sure. It's a spindle project. That's what I wanted to say. And it looks like this. So this fiber, I dyed myself a few years ago. And when I say a few, I mean like 10. And I'm not sure what it is. I think it might be a Corriedale, but I do not quite know. It is not a BFL, it is not a Merino, it is not a Shetland. So Corriedale, I think. And this is what I have spun so far. I'm spinning this into a 2-ply yarn, so this needs to go onto that spindle, and then I have 2 other little bumps for the second spindle. And this is my project that I have in my backpack together with my cozy tush sit-upon, and I will take this with me when I go for a walk, and I just, you know, in the middle of nowhere will stand and spin for a little bit, and I love doing that. It is very grounding and very nice. And yeah, this is how far I've come on this project so far. And the other thing, I'm not quite sure how I will manage, but next to me is my spinning wheel. Let's try. So on here, I started a sweater quantity. The fiber I'm using looks like this. So this is the very end. I cannot show you more of it because it's attached. And also, I think my cat just really did me. I think he walked all over my spinning wheel, and I'm not sure yet how to untangle it, but I will do that later. So this is the fiber. This is called Bumblebee, and I bought the fiber at World of Wool, and I have 600 grams of it. So I separated my fiber up front, which I usually don't do, into 4 150 gram bits, because I know I can get 150 grams on my bobbins. So let's haul it up here. So this is it. This is what it looks like. And I love how this is turning out. As you can see the fiber and what it looks like spun up. And this is just gorgeous. I'm doing just a traditional 2-ply, nothing fancy. And this will probably end up being for sale as well, because I have so many handspun sweater quantities that I have yet to to use, you know. So yeah, I'm working on that. I really enjoy spinning it. It is super smooth and super easy to spin. And this is the first bobbin. So I have 3 to go, and then of course do all of the plying. But yeah, I'm spinning, I'm knitting, I'm crocheting. I'm finally back. It feels so good. I feel so relieved. So I have some other things to show. Yes, I have brought a bag full of new things. So I went to a fiber festival and I bought some fiber. I'm going to show that. And I was in Ireland this weekend, and I went to This Is Knit, and I have 2 new books. So I'm going to start with the books because they're the heaviest thing. I finally caved and got worsted, which is put up by Line magazine and curated by Amy from La Bien-Aimée. And it is all worsted weight things, you know, as the title might suggest. And I have always, when I saw pictures and things and projects online, I've always loved the pattern from Max the Knitter. I'm trying to find it. Here it is. It's called Yesteryears, and I really like that. And I think that it would look great in hand spun. You know, the contrast color bit, but what is golden here, do it in hand spun, and then a solid commercial yarn for the rest. So yeah, I got the worsted book. And I also, the reason why I ordered books in the first place, I got this book. It's also by Line Publishing. And this is called Contrasts, and it is by Mayu KP. I have no idea how to say her name, but this is a gorgeous book filled with cable patterns. And oh, by coincidence, I opened on the correct page. I really want to make this coat. It is so pretty. It is a hooded coat, and she has this basic pattern, you know, that pattern for that coat is also in cardigan form in this book, and it's also in a sweater, so I can choose whatever and make one of them. And this is it's just beautiful. The patterns in here are amazing, and that's why I got these books, because they are not cheap books. They're quite expensive, but I think that I will get a lot out of them. So I went to Dublin, and when in Dublin, you go to This Is Knit, and I did. So the first thing that I put in my shopping basket is 4 skeins of Studio Donegal's Darnie yarn. It is a non-superwash rustic tweedy fingering weight. So this has 410 meters for 100 grams, and it is just beautiful. It's this really, really pretty gray. And I have a cardigan knit out of this yarn that I did not knit myself. So when I still had a knit group, and I'm not gonna go into that, but I had a knit group, and one of the girls had knit a cardigan out of this yarn in a dark blue. And she was very unhappy because it just turned out too big. And I jokingly said, well, you could give it to me, or we could trade, because I just finished a cardigan for myself that is quite a bit too small. And we ended up doing that. So I ended up with her Darnie cardigan, and she knit a Isabel Kramer pattern back then. And she ended up with the shawl hooded cardigan by Susanne Sommer that I knit out of Drops Alpaca. So we swapped out, and I really like that cardigan. It feels great to wear. It's light and airy, but super warm. So when I saw the Darnie yarn at This Is Knit, I just wanted to have more so I can make a cardigan for myself. And where will I put this now? I'm running out of space. So, and also, of course, Tim was with me, and he kept running to me with this skein of yarn. It's like, Mom, I want this. I want this. I want a sweater out of this yarn. And this is a mohair silk. It is Townhouse Yarns, which is their home brand, basically. And I was like, no, I will not knit you a mohair sweater, because I do not know if you will actually still think it is a soft yarn when it's a sweater, you know? But he would just not let it go. So I got this yarn, and next to it were skeins from Bichet Bouche. And I really wanted to try that yarn. I have no idea if that is how you say it, but it looks like this. And this color, I mean, these were made to go together, I am sure. So I decided to get this as a 50-gram skein, and it is half the meterage of that mohair silk, because, you know, that's a lace weight, but it is enough to knit a hat. So I will make a hat for Tim out of these, and then I will use the rest of this for something else. And I also got a skein from Olan. I love their colors. I love their yarns. I have I've bought from them before. And I have really wanted to try their mill spun yarn because they got a mill, like, I don't know when, 2 years ago or so. And they started making their own yarn. And I got one skein. And sadly, they didn't have a color that I would like as a sweater. So I couldn't get a sweater's quantity. But I got one skein. It is called Bramble, the colorway. And this is also a fingering weight with 420 meters, 400 grams. It is a non-superwash merino. It's just pretty. And I cannot wait to try this yarn. So these are my yarns. Also, I'm kind of shifting towards the more rustic yarns, the natural stuff, which is also unheard of for me. So I feel like something in me when it comes to crafting just shifted completely, but that's okay. And now on to the fiber. So I went to that fiber festival, like I said, and I bought fiber. So here's the first thing of fiber that I bought. And I mean, it's just pretty, isn't it? This is a 200-gram braid of Steffi's Wolle. She's an Austrian hand dyer. And this is a 50 Polworth, 25 alpaca, 25 milk fiber blend. And I know it is not specific sock yarn blend, but I do want to make sock yarn out of this. And as it is 200 grams, I want to make at least 2 skeins. I thought about making 3 skeins because you don't need 100 grams for most socks, but I don't want to, you know, make it too small, so you have to use a contrast with it. So I'm gonna go for 2 skeins of sock yarn. And that was just my mom. I brought the phone in case the school phoned, you know. So doesn't matter. So this is going to be sock yarn, and I'm gonna gift one of the skeins to a friend, and I will keep one of the skeins for myself. First thing. And the other thing I got is just more fiber. I didn't buy any yarn there. And I got 3 braids of fiber from Dornröschen's Keller, which I've never heard of before, to be honest. But they had pretty fiber, and I got these 2 and this one. Sadly, she only had one of these. So I got those 3, and I'm not yet sure if I will do a 3-ply and, you know, make 3 bobbins, ply them together, because that would mean I have to spin it quite thin, and I'm not sure if I want to do that, or if I will do 1 larger skein and 1 smaller skein. It doesn't matter. So I got these as well, and so yeah, that is what I have acquired recently. So I'm gonna pop this back in here. So that's it for new stuff. The next thing would be reading, listening, watching. And I have read a lot. I'm not going to get into it because it's going to be just too much. Listening, I have listened to 2 books that I want to talk about. So I have recently realized, whatever, that there are Kindle Unlimited audiobooks. I did not know that. I'm not sure if that is a new feature and how long it's been there, but I found out that this is a thing because I opened my Audible and there was a book I did not buy. I was like, where did this come from? What is this? How did this appear here? And then I looked on my Kindle and the book was there as well. I was like, what is happening? I did not buy this book. And then I went to my laptop, checked it out, you know, like looked at the Amazon thing. Like, oh, this is a Kindle Unlimited book. Okay. But why is it on my Audible? And then it dawned on me. And I saw that little headphone sign behind the Kindle Unlimited words. And I was like, oh, wow, this is awesome. I love this. So I listened to the first 2 books in the Musai trilogy. The books are by E.J. Mello, and it's a fantasy romance that is centered around 3 sisters, and each book is basically the romance and journey of one sister. So the first book is called, what is it called? Song of the Forever Rains. That's the first book, and it's about the youngest sister. And so the thing is, in these books, those 3 sisters, they all have magic, but they cannot openly say that they have magic, because people with magic are frowned upon and they are always being eyed suspiciously, you know? And their father is like a nobleman or quite a well-known, respected person. So they cannot openly say that they have magic. But like in the underground, they are sent on missions to take care of things with their magic. So the first book is about the youngest sister, and she is sent to a dukedom. Is that a word? I'm not sure. She's sent there to find out how the Duke is getting some drugs that he should not be getting. Because in this world, there is a kingdom called the Thief Kingdom. And the Thief Kingdom basically is like Sodom and Gomorrah. It's the place where everything is allowed. There's drugs is allowed, and prostitution is allowed, and all the things that are kind of frowned upon in normal life are allowed there and nowhere else. So that Duke is taking drugs, and they need to find out how he got them. So the youngest sister, Larkira, is sent there as the pretend bride to the Duke, but he's like an older dude, and his stepson is the actual, you know, his mother was the Duchess. Then she married that dick of a man who then became the Duke. And so yeah, that's the first book. Larkira needs to find out what's going on there before she has to marry the evil guy. And so that's her story. The second book is about the middle sister, and her name is Naya. And she is quite the gambler, which is bad for her because she ends up on a pirate ship having to surf there for a year. And that's all I'm going to say about that. And the third book will come out next year, and it's going to be about the oldest sister, Arabessa. So I really enjoyed these. And I listened to them on audio through Kindle Unlimited, which was amazing. But I love them so much that I bought physical copies of the books. So I cannot wait for the third one to come out. I really like these. They're a bit dark and a bit sexy. And they're just great. I enjoyed them. So that was the listening part. For watching, I don't think I watched anything new that I could talk about. So I have not been in a mood to do anything much. So it's basically like my brain took a break from everything. And it felt good, you know, it was needed. So nothing to talk about there. And what's else? What's left? Oh yeah, I brought my making journal for the year. I wanted to show this since I started doing it in January, and I bring it for every podcast, and every time I stop my podcast and I look at all the things that I have to put away again, I was like, oh, forgot to show it again. So this time I'm showing it. I have this Moomin notebook that opens and closes magnetically. And in here I have my crafting journal, and I'm quite happy with how I set this up. So let's go into what I'm doing. So I have these little stamps for all the crafts. The only one I do not have yet is for crochet, so I have to get one. So I have knitting, sewing, spinning. I chose this one for weaving because the shuttle in Germany are called Schiffchen, and this is a little paper Schiffchen, Papierschiffchen. So it's the same word, but in a different use. Doesn't matter. They didn't have a weaving one, so I went with the next best option for painting and for hand sewing. So what I'm doing in here, I am writing down. I print out pictures. I got a HP Sprocket, which is a thermal printer that works with heat. And the pictures are not perfect in, true color, but that doesn't bother me. So I will stamp on the corner what I'm doing, write down what it is, and then I will write all the stats and put in a picture. And I'm doing that for everything I'm creating this year. So there's a lot of spinning, and then I have socks. Not sure if you can see. So these are hand spun socks. I write down all the specs, all the important things, the sock total number because I'm a nerd and I have been keeping track of how many socks I've knit in my life. I do it for painting. I write down what brushes I use, what paints, what medium it is, you know, all the things. I'm super happy with this. I have my quilt in here. I made one quilt this year for Tim. It of course has the sewing machine stamp, and I'm really happy with this. I have not, of course, put in anything lately because I haven't done a lot. But I also have to do a bit of catching up. So the last things I put in were the first cozy tush that I made, and the painting of the bike. And I have done a few more paintings and I have finished some more of those cozy tush things and socks now. So I can get back to it. And I'm really happy with this. I'm glad I started doing that. And this is a great way for me to look at, you know, what have I created this year? Because creating is something that I love to do. So I keep track of it in this notebook, and it is very shiny. I'm going to put it away now because it's very reflective. That is the end of what I have finished and what I have done. The only thing left for me now is everything else. So for everything else, the first thing is the next VKN, and I do not know the date. I think it is, no, I know the date. It is May. It's May. It's not March. No. It is May 14th. That is a Saturday. And that is the next VKN, 9 p.m. Berlin time. And you're welcome to join. I will put links in the Ravelry group and on Discord. So you can join that if you want to. It is open to everybody who watches my podcast. And we're a nice group of people. So just give it a go. And then I always do a little bit of mental health talk. And I feel great. I am great. I do have ups and downs, sure, because that's normal. But in general, I feel great. And I think that this break of knitting and making and constantly producing stuff was really important for me. And at first I was freaking out. I thought my knitting was completely gone forever. What will I do with all my yarn? Because I have so much yarn, and I started to get a real bad conscience about that because I have all that stuff that I'm not using, and I was stressing out. And then I was thought to myself, you know what, just don't stress, let it go, just keep calm, do the things that you enjoy right now, like crochet, who knew? And then, you know, I did a lot of crochet and weaving in that time. And then I finally sat down and said, you know what, I need to work on this spinning project here. And that brought back my spinning mojo. And then I started those socks and I really enjoyed that. So I took a break and then gradually came back with all the crafts. And I needed that. It was good. It was really good for me. And yeah, I'm just great. I'm a bit stressed out every now and then because that is normal life, but I'm way better than I was. And the last thing is the shop. I don't know how to do it because Etsy is taking so much in fees that I would have to put the prices so high to, you know, make what I intend to make. And I'm just not sure if that's going to work. And I also don't want to sell myself short, and, you know, because Etsy is taking all of those fees and I end up with a lot less. But creating the own shop or my own shop comes with a lot of problems as well, because I have to generate all of the traffic to my shop on my own. And I have to make sure to get all the laws that go with online shops, that I have everything correct and stuff. So I'm not sure if I dare to do that. So as soon as I know how this is going to work, I will let you know. And until then, feel free to join my Patreon. I would love to have you there. I have recently, I went back and counted the amount of posts I did in a year. and it is over 100. So that is a post every 3 or 4 days. Most of those are videos, and most of those videos are tutorials in one way or another. And they are about knitting mostly. They've been about spinning, but I do have some about knitting, weaving, and about sewing, baking, all kinds of things. So, and I post a weekly vlog of my week on my Patreon as well. So that is it for today. I hope you all have a wonderful time. I hope that my mojo is now back for staying, you know, and I will be able to podcast again on a regular basis, like regular in every week and not every month. But we will find out how that's working out. And until I see you again, I hope you all have a wonderful time. Bye.